That's my initial reaction. That's my scientific reaction. Is it's another very, very frustrating Celtics loss, despite a career game from my guy, Marcus Smart, who I will defend until the earth stands still. Uh, and I have been since his rookie year. I just love Marcus's game, and he was on fire tonight. I mean, set a club record with 11 made threes, just a ridiculous shooting night for him. And that still wasn't enough to overcome a mediocre at best Suns team, and that's the problem, is that the Celtics team is dropping games at home to teams that they should be way outclassing. And that's the sign of a problem with this team. And not just a problem with how they're playing, but the problem with the coaching, in that Brad Stevens and his staff aren't properly motivating the Celtics. And the guys on the team it's the same problem every night. Go out, play like shit to start the game, like come out as flat as Kyrie Irving thinks the earth is, and then try to claw their way back in the end. So it looks like, oh my God, this team never quits. They make such a great effort. Look at them. They're really clawing through. They don't quit. They never say die. That's the hallmark of a Brad Stevens team. No. They do quit. They quit at the beginning of the game. It's just when they quit is different. They try to claw their way back in the games and make it interesting and make it look much closer than it was. That was the case the other night against the Bucks too. They were getting blown out most of that game. The game looked a lot closer than it was. This game, the Celtics were down perpetually 12, and then in the last couple minutes they make a run. So they kind of like hang around within striking distance, but really they don't start their never quit mentality until the end of it, and that's just not good enough. The East, outside of the Bucks at the top, is going to be so close in terms of seeding, from basically 2 to 5 or 6. And depending on where you're seated at the end of the year, now we're exactly halfway through the season, that's going to depend. That's going to determine how far you go in the playoffs. I mean, that's not a groundbreaking thing to have just said. If the Celtics are a higher seed and can avoid Milwaukee or Philadelphia in the first 2 rounds, they'll probably get to the Eastern Conference Finals. If they aren't, they won't. And what's frustrating, I can already tell what's going to happen, is because there's been so much like kumbaya, look at the Celtics team, how much more likable they are than last year. And I'm not disagreeing. They are more likable for sure. They're going to lose in the second round in the exact same spot that they did last year. And there's not going to be the outcrying, the outrage. And that's going to frustrate me, because even though the season last year seemed like a disaster and everybody was essentially rooting against Kyrie, or in retrospect they were, and didn't like the team that much. Well, they went to the second round, and if this team that's more likable was the second round, it's still a failure to me based off of the talent they have on this team. And then you have to look at the coaching staff, and you have to look at the front office and say, well, what's the problem? Why can't they figure out how to get the right pieces here? Why can't Brad Stevens push the right buttons to get these guys to play for a full 48-minute game? And because they haven't. And I'm sick of seeing people on Twitter saying, "Oh, these other teams, they're shooting so great percentage against the Celtics. The Celtics are just getting unlucky." No, their defense has been bad. Their defense isn't consistently locked in throughout the game, and that's why you give up a lot of open 3-pointers, and other teams are nailing their 3-pointers, because you're not running guys up the line, and you're not closing out on threes with your hands up. I mean, that's simple stuff. We talked about this at the end of the last game. I mean, it was like a freaking smorgasbord for the Suns tonight. Wide open threes left and right, and they don't have anybody to defend the paint. So you saw Ayton dominate, because Cantor is a fine center, and I like his offensive game, his rebounding, but he sucks defensively. That's not a secret. They knew that when they were getting him. Tice is pretty good defensively, but he's very undersized, so he just gets handled by these bigger centers. The Celtics are missing pieces. They're missing pieces on their bench. They're missing a piece in the middle, and they're missing a coach who can kick them in the ass and say, hey, guys, let's come out and not fall behind by 15 and have to claw our way back the entire game. Because, again, they're not playing these 48 minutes, and they're making it seem like they never quit, never say die. But that's complete bullshit, because they are quitting at the beginning of these games and then trying at the end. And it's giving a false sense of where they're really at, which is a very mediocre team right now that's losing to teams that are worse than them. And that's the worst spot to be in, especially now that you're so packed in with the East. You had created some distance, and now it's all gone. The Heat have jumped you, and you're in danger of falling into one of those lower seeds in playoffs. and that's going to spell an early exit for the Celtics in the postseason. So they need to address the roster. They need to have a conversation with Brad Stevens about motivating this team. They need to look internally with the players and say, hey, maybe somebody needs to just yell at these guys because they're not playing. Not only they're not playing well, they're not playing with effort, and that's just brutal to see. So a frustrating loss. Congratulations to Marcus Smart on setting the Celtics record, though. I mean, he did everything he could to win this game. He played his ass off. Talk about Gordon Hayward real quick, who led the team with the team worst plus minus tonight. He was terrible, and his box score will deceive you, but he was ineffective, continues to be ineffective, continues to not really fit on this team. And tonight he really should have shown because Jalen was out and Kemba was out, and they needed him, and he didn't show up. And nothing was more evident of that than the Celtics set up a beautiful out of bounds play. Credit to Brad Stevens on that play. I'm not going to just shit on him. He had a good play there, and Marcus Smart executed it perfectly with the out of bounds pass. And Gordon Hayward just missed a point blank alley-oop layup. If he had never been hurt in his career, maybe he dunks it. He's still scared to do that. I'm talking fast. I'm angry. Frustrating loss. They continue to play like crap. It's extremely frustrating, and it's not going to get easier as the Lakers come to town next on Monday. So I wouldn't expect them to win that game right now the way they're playing, and that's just really frustrating. So Celtics have a lot of work to do. Everybody, feel free to vent. I know I will, and continue to, and have. So I'll talk to you after the next game. Good job, Marcus Smart. Bad job, pretty much everybody else. All right, see ya.